In the United States, what's known as the nation's report card has just come out, and the grades are not what experts say they should be. The exam is called the National Assessment of Education Progress. It's been given out since 1992, and it's a widely respected measure of student achievement. The latest results released Tuesday came from a test given in early 2024. That's when American high school seniors scored lower on reading than ever before on the exam. 32% scored below basic, which means they were unable to understand the meaning of a passage from the details in it. On math, 45% of 12th graders scored below basic, which was the lowest score on that portion since the test was revamped in 2005. And when it came to middle school students, it was science skills that took a hit among 8th graders, with girls' scores dropping more than those of boys. The achievement gap also increased in the test, meaning that the difference between the highest performing students and the lowest performing students had increased. But what's causing all this? The response to the COVID pandemic, which included nationwide school closures, had a negative impact on education, but observers say scores were dropping before that and that the trends continued afterward. Some educators point to shorter student attention spans, possibly linked to increased screen time as a factor, and an expert interviewed by the Associated Press says high school students aren't being assigned as many books as they used to. Whatever the causes, education officials say urgent action is needed to turn the declines around. Hello again, I'm Azuz, and this is the world from A to Z. Thank you for taking a few minutes to watch at the midpoint of the week. Yesterday, the Middle Eastern nation of Israel launched a new airstrike against Hamas, the militant group it's been at war with. What was different about yesterday's attack is that it took place in the Middle Eastern nation of Qatar, also known as Qatar. Israel conducted what it called a precise strike in the capital of Doha. The targets were Hamas leaders whom Israel says were responsible for the October 7, 2023 terrorist attack against Israel. NBC News reported that Hamas officials were in Qatar to discuss a proposal for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Israel has targeted its enemies on foreign soil in places like Iran before, but this was the first strike it's made in Qatar. And it's significant in part because Qatar has been actively involved in negotiations to try to end the current war in the Middle East. A Qatari government spokesman called the attack a, quote, criminal assault that violated international laws and threatened its people's security. And the Trump administration, which says it found out about Israel's attack just before it happened, spoke out against it, saying while the U.S. supports eliminating Hamas, the strike inside Qatar does not help Israel's or America's goals. The U.S. says this won't happen again on Qatari soil.
A world of knowledge. Elias Howe, a 19th century American inventor, was best known for creating what device? Alarm clock, sewing machine, typewriter, electrical plug. In 1846, Howe was granted a patent for his invention of a lock-stitch sewing machine.
On this date in world history! Elias Howe's invention wasn't the first sewing machine, but it was distinctive because of its lock-stitch design. And while his patent didn't bring him immediate financial success after it was granted on September 10, 1846, it made Howe a millionaire years later when he proved that other companies had infringed on his patent. An Ethiopian marathoner named Abibi Bikila did something amazing on this date in 1960. He became the first person from his country to win an Olympic gold medal. But how he did that made it more remarkable. Bikila was barefoot when he ran through Rome's cobblestone streets, and he set a world record time which he broke 4 years later at the 1964 Games, that time wearing shoes. Finally, Switzerland became part of the United Nations on this date in 2002. The country had previously resisted membership in part because of its status as a neutral nation. But after a referendum that made Switzerland the only country to join after a popular vote, it was admitted as the UN's 190th member on September 10th.
world. This nation achieved its independence from France in 1956, and you'll find it on the northwestern coast of the African continent. It's a predominantly Muslim country whose capital is Rabat. This is Morocco, a nation of more than 37 million people.
Back and forth, over and under, it looks like tedious work, but what starts out as a bunch of plain white strands ends in a beautiful tapestry. These ladies in Morocco are some of the best artisans in the trade. Moroccan hand-woven rugs are shipped around the world for thousands of dollars. The women refuse to let modern machinery do the job they've done for centuries and pass down from generation to generation. Hand weaving a rug is a long process, taking up to 2 weeks. And different towns in the region boast their own variation on rug designs and materials. The best ones are made with high-quality sheep wool and then dyed with natural pigments such as henna, pomegranate, or indigo. The finished weavings aren't cheap, some selling for $6,000. So what makes them so valuable?
Firstly, there is exceptional mastery in the making of these rugs. Secondly, the particularity of these carpets is that their value increases over time.
For most of these women, rug weaving is a way to make ends meet, but just barely. Middlemen come to Morocco, buy the rugs for a cheap price, and then take them to market and sell them for 10 times what they paid for it. So while the rugs end up fetching 4 figures, weavers only make $24 per rug. And they can't negotiate the prices for fear no one will buy their rugs. Consequently, the next generation of Moroccan weavers aren't too keen on taking up the rug trade. But the weavers are hopeful. A new exhibition space is being built in Tasnacht that could bring new life to the trade, a space where weavers can sell their work directly to buyers. And by cutting out the middleman, they'll hopefully start making enough money to keep the craft going for generations to come.
The Ocean State is headlining today's World of Viewers segment. That's where we heard from Miss Reagan's class. Bradley School Providence is in the state capital of Providence, Rhode Island. Out west, we're flying with the Eagles of Sierra Middle School, Miss Biggs and Mrs. Lyons classes. We see you watching from Roswell, New Mexico. And Mason City High School is the home of the Riverhawks. From Mason City, Iowa, a warm welcome to Mr. Fisher's class.
After 250 years, a lofty vision to bring an artist's fiery painting to literal life is being realized by a pair of students in Australia who found and followed high-tech instructions from 1775. The idea was conceived by a British ambassador in the late 18th century who drafted a detailed sketch of an apparatus designed to rotate and backlight a 1771 painting of Italy's fiery Mount Vesuvius, creating an effect of luminous, flowing lava. The ambitious gizmo may never have been realized, but thankfully the design was preserved, and now, a quarter millennia later, 2 University of Melbourne engineering students have made the concept a reality by following the original instructions, building the age-old tech using modern tech like LED lighting and 3D printed materials. The resulting effect may not be mind-blowing by today's special effects standards, but I bet it would have been absolute fire in 1775. Soon, the new illuminating, animating multimedia device will headline an eye-opening exhibition in the school's library.
A Texas firefighter named Michael Sherman and his wife Jakia are expecting a baby girl. There's a good reason why that's making news. They say their daughter will be the first girl born into the Sherman family in 108 years. Several of Michael's ancestors had 2 kids or more. They've just all been boys. News station KTRK says the family's trying to find out if there's a record here. At the very least, it's one serious streak that's set to be broken next March when their daughter is due. Maybe the stork decided to pack and play something different this onesie time, or maybe it's stroll into a whole new formula that bassinets more girls for the family's cribs. Either way, they couldn't keep the news bottled up, and while they're not making any blanket statements, they'll be monitoring new developments to see if they keep rocking any newborn trends, baby. I'm Carl Azuz, and that's the world from A to Z. So thankful to have you watching.